Dario doesn't know, he said, about his father, about yours, about any of it.
No.
You're going to have to tell him.
Not me, you.
Empire of Ashes, Episode 7, The Third Way, written by Mia. My father used to say that there are only ever two moves on the board. You can give them what they want, or you can become something they want more, and that the whole art of staying alive in this city was knowing which game you were in before you opened your mouth. I had 11 days, 2 families who wanted a dead man's ledger, and a husband I decided to keep alive. And so I did the thing my father had trained me for since before I understood I was being trained. I went looking for the third move. Here is the thing nobody in either family had thought to be afraid of, because I was a woman and 20, and they had all decided what I was for. I could read a ledger better than any of them. My father hadn't sent me to study art history, whatever the Marchetti's file said. He'd sent me to study the only thing he trusted, which was numbers, the way they hide, and the way they tell the truth even when the men who wrote them are lying. And the proof in my father's cipher wasn't just a map of the Marchetti weakness. It was an accounting. Every secret debt, every shell, every quiet handshake by which Salvatore had mortgaged the family to the Commission and the Falcones both, which meant that I was, possibly, the only person alive who could see the whole board the old Don had died hiding. And if you can see the whole board, you can sometimes find the move that isn't give them the proof or die with the family. You can make the proof worthless. So I worked, at night, in the studio Dario didn't know I used as anything but a place to be sad, by the light of a single lamp, with my father's numbers spread out in front of me, and 3 months of grief finally turned to use. If the family's weakness was that it owed 2 powers who each thought they were the only creditor, then the family's salvation was to make those 2 powers collide before the new moon, to let the Commission learn what the Falcones knew, so that the 2 of them spent their knives on each other instead of on a glass house full of people I'd somehow started to love. It was thin. It was desperate. It needed 11 days and a great deal of luck, and nobody finding out the broke, bankrupt Marchetti wife was the architect of it. It felt, those first nights, like the closest I'd been to my father since the rain at his graveside. He was in the numbers. That was the thing no one understood about Aldo Russo, that the careful columns weren't caution. They were love. A man trying to hold a fair world together with the only tool an honest person is given, which is the truth written down where it can't be argued with. I'd hated him a little in the worst weeks for being too proud to tell me he was drowning. Bent over his cipher at 2 a.m, finally fluent in the language he'd taught me, I stopped. He hadn't been hiding his weakness from me. He'd been building me a weapon and praying I'd never need it, and dying before he could put it in my hands, and trusting, the way he trusted everything, ruinously, that his careful daughter would find it behind the wall and know what to do. I was trying to be worthy of that. It is a strange thing, to avenge a man by saving his murderer's son. I think my father, who forgave everyone, might even have understood it. I'll never get to ask. I had 9 days when Nico found the numbers. He didn't shout. I have told you that about him. The quiet was the whole of him. I came up to the studio at 2 a.m, and the lamp was already lit, and Nico was sitting at my work table with my father's pages spread under his folded hands, reading them with the patience of a man who is all night, and I stopped in the doorway and understood that the Cold War was over and the hot one had begun. "You're good," he said, not looking up. "I'll give you that. I've been turning this house over for the ledger for 2 weeks, and you had it in a drawer of brushes the whole time, and I'd never have looked because brushes are a woman's nonsense, which is exactly what you wanted me to think. Salvatore would have liked you. That's not a compliment, you understand. The people Salvatore liked tended to end up in the ground. He turned a page. What I can't work out is what you're doing with it. The Falcones wanted to kill us. You're the Russo girl. By rights, you wanted to kill us too. And instead you're sitting up at 2 in the morning doing, he tapped the columns. What is this? This isn't a ransom. This is a battle plan. You're not selling us out, and you're not burning us down. So what are you, Mrs. Marchetti? Because I've put 30 years into knowing what everyone in this house is, and you I cannot read, and men my age do not enjoy surprises. I'm trying to save your family, I said. Mine wanted yours dead.
I came here to make that happen.
And then your dead boss's son put his coat around my shoulders and told me to breathe. And now I'm sitting up at 2 in the morning trying to keep the whole rotten lot of you alive. And I don't fully understand it either, Nico. So we're in the same boat there. I came into the room. I did not let him see me afraid because Nico ate fear. You swore, Salvatore, you'd keep his secret buried. Fine. I'm offering you better than buried. I'm offering you defused. Help me, and in 9 days the proof that can kill this family won't be able to kill anyone, because I'll have spent it making your enemies fight each other. That keeps your vow, and keeps Dario breathing. Or kill me for it now. Take the ledger, bury it again, and pray the Falcones don't find their own copy of the truth your old Don was too proud to admit, because they're 9 days from coming through that door whether I'm alive or not. The silence went on a long time. Outside, the city did its dark business. And Nico looked at me with his flat killer's eyes, weighing 30 years of one dead man's orders against 9 days and a woman he couldn't read. And finally, he said the most frightening thing he could have said, which was almost nothing at all. Dario doesn't know, he said, about his father, about yours, about any of it.
No.
You're going to have to tell him. Not me, you. Before this is done, he's going to find out his wife came to his house to bury him and stayed to save him, and if he hears it from anyone but you, the saving won't matter, because you'll have done to him the one thing his father did that he can't forgive. Managed him, decided what he could handle, loved him by lying. Nico stood and gathered my father's pages into a neat stack, and this was the moment the ground shifted, handed them back to me. 9 days. I'll hold Salvatore's vow your way instead of mine. Goddess help us both. But you tell the boy, Lena.
Soon.
Because I've buried a lot of things for this family, and the one that never stays buried is the truth, and it always digs itself up at the worst possible hour. I had walked into that studio expecting to die in it. I want to be clear about that because of what it meant that I didn't. Nico had killed for the Marchetti since before I was born. He had a knife and a vow and every reason, and instead he'd handed me back my father's pages and bought into a plan he hated because I understood slowly, standing there. He'd spent 30 years loving this family, the only way a man like him knows how, which is by carrying their worst things so they don't have to, and he had just met someone else willing to carry one. He didn't trust me. He'd made that plain. But he'd recognized me, the way killers recognize each other, and the way the lonely recognize each other, and those turned out to be the same recognition. Why are you helping me? I asked him at the door. He paused. Because the boy smiles now, he said, like it cost him. 8 months I watched him turn to stone in his father's chair.
Then you.
I don't care what you came here to do, Mrs. Marchetti. I care that he smiles. Keep him alive and I'll forgive you the rest. Get him killed, and there isn't a hole in this city deep enough. And he left. I almost told him that night. Dario. I went to him, with Nico's words still in me, loved him by lying, and I stood in the door of his study where he was still working at 2 in the morning the way he always was, holding a dead empire upright with his bare hands, and I had the whole of it on my tongue. Your father killed mine. I married you to destroy you. I have the proof in a drawer of brushes, and I'm trying to save you with it, and I love you, which is the most inconvenient fact in this entire city." And he looked up, and his face did the thing it had started doing only with me. The wall coming down, the tiredness showing, and he said, "Lena, good. I need to tell you something, and I need you not to worry, because I've handled it." And the something he told me drove every word of my confession straight back down my throat.
"I've arranged to sit down," he said.
"With the Falcons. Tomorrow night. The patriarch himself. A truce. I'm going to buy us time. Offer them a piece of the harbor concessions, enough to make them think the family's negotiating from strength, and that'll hold them off long enough for me to find that proof before they do." He rubbed his eyes. "It's a risk, sitting down with them after the opera. But it's controlled, it's on our ground, and it's better than waiting for them to move first.
I wanted you to know where I'd be."
You asked me not to disappear into the dark. I'm keeping the promise. I'm telling you, tomorrow night, I sit down with the Falcons, and I make us look strong enough to live." And I stood in his study and felt the whole board tilt, because I knew, I was the one person alive who knew, that there was no negotiating from strength, that the Falcons already had the ultimatum out, that they didn't want a piece of the harbor, they wanted the proof, and that they had given me the deadline, which meant they knew the proof was loose in the Marchetti house, which meant that when Dario sat down tomorrow night offering them concessions like a man bargaining from strength, they would look at him and see exactly what he was. A young Don who didn't even know how broke and exposed he really was, sitting at their table, in reach, advertising the family's weakness with every confident word. It wasn't a negotiation he was walking into. It was a confirmation. He was going to sit down across from the people hunting his family's life and show them the wound, because he didn't know it was there, because his father had died hiding it, because I was the only one who could see the whole board, and I had been keeping it from him to keep him safe. I tried to talk him out of it without telling him why. I said the Falcons couldn't be trusted after the opera. He said that was exactly why he had to look strong. I said the timing was wrong. He said the timing was never going to be right. Every true warning I gave him bounced off the one fact I couldn't give him, that I knew, specifically and certainly, what they were after, because they'd written it to me on cream paper that smelled of cigars. I watched him mistake my terror for a wife's ordinary fear and gentle me through it, patient, sure, walking himself one calm sentence at a time toward a table where his own confidence would be the knife. He thought he was protecting me from the family's troubles. He had no idea that I was the trouble, sitting across the breakfast from him, holding the map of his grave and the only pen that could redraw it. Nico's voice, that same night, loved him by lying. I had until tomorrow night. I could let him go. He'd sit down, he'd bargain blind, and either the Falcons would spring it then, or they'd wait for the new moon, but they would know, after that table, exactly how killable the Marchettis were, and the dying would start whenever they chose. Or I could stop him. And there was only one way to stop a man like Dario from walking into a trap he couldn't see. I would have to show him the trap. I would have to put my father's ledger in his hands, tonight, and watch him understand all of it at once. That his father was a murderer, that his wife was a Russo with a vengeance, that the woman he'd let past every wall had been carrying the bomb that could end his family since the day she said the bride is grateful across a lawyer's desk. I would have to choose between letting him die not knowing or saving him by becoming, in a single conversation, the exact thing his father was, someone who'd loved him by lying, revealed. I sat in the studio until dawn with my father's pages and my husband's life and the worst choice of my life, And when the sun came up over the harbor my father had given everything to, I finally understood the thing my father never lived to teach me about the third move. Sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes the board only ever had 2 moves on it, and the whole art of staying alive was a lie people told their daughters so they'd sleep, and the only thing left to decide, when the third way runs out, is which of the 2 people you love you're willing to become the villain for. I made my choice as the lamps of the Marchetti house went out one by one in the morning light. Tonight, before he sat down with the Falcones, I was going to tell Dario Marchetti everything. And I had no way of knowing that Dario, who saw everything, had already started to suspect, and that the Falcones had moved their meeting up by a day, and that by the time I went looking for my husband with the truth in my hands, the choice I'd spent all night agonizing over would already, quietly, terribly, have been taken out of them. To be continued. That was episode 7 of Empire of Ashes. If this one has its hooks in you, the next episode is already waiting. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The complete book is on Amazon, and early episodes plus Dario POV bonus scenes are on my Patreon. Links are in the description.
I'm Mia.
Thank you for listening.